If have you ever wondered why, no matter how much you know better, you still find yourself strangely drawn to a narcissist? If it's like a flame and a moth, the flame may burn, yet the moth keeps circling back. Narcissists have a unique way of capturing your attention, if almost like magicians who know exactly which illusions to use. They make you feel seen, admired, and even special, at least in the beginning. But behind that charm lies a trap. When you first meet a narcissist, it often feels like stepping into a dream. They carry themselves with a confidence that is magnetic. Their words flow like honey, and their presence feels larger than life. You look at them and think, wow, this person has it all together. They know how to make you laugh at just the right moment, how to compliment you in ways you've never heard before, how to notice details about you that others usually overlook. It feels almost magical, as if you finally met someone who understands you at the deepest level. But here lies the hidden truth. What you're seeing is not the real them. It's a mask carefully crafted to pull you in. Think about it for a moment. When we go to a theater and watch a performance, we know the actor is wearing a costume, playing a role, saying lines that someone else wrote. Yet, if the actor is good, we get caught up in the story. We laugh. If we cry, we feel as though what's happening is real. Narcissists are like actors in their own play. They design their mask of perfection with incredible precision. They study people, they notice what makes others feel important, and then they play that role flawlessly. You might meet a narcissist at work and they'll immediately present themselves as the most hardworking, most visionary, most capable leader in the room. Or in a relationship, they'll present themselves as the most attentive, caring, romantic partner you could ever dream of. They know how to mirror exactly what you've been craving. And the reason it's so convincing is because in those early stages the mask is perfectly polished, it reflects back your own dreams, your own values, your own desires. If you value kindness, they'll tell stories about their generosity. If you value ambition, they'll paint pictures of their big plans for the future. If you long for deep emotional connection, they'll speak about soulmates, destiny, and lasting bonds. You'll feel like you found someone who not only understands you, but also completes you. This is not a coincidence. This is design. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you walk into a clothing store. There's a mannequin wearing an outfit that looks stunning. You think, that would look perfect on me. The way it's displayed, the lighting, the arrangement, it all convinces you that this is the answer to your style. But when you take it home, wear it in your real life, it doesn't feel the same. Why? Because mannequins don't move, they don't sit, they don't sweat. They don't live in reality. The display was never real life. In the same way, the narcissist's mask of perfection is staged. It's not sustainable. It's not authentic, it's designed for show. Yet, here's why it's so powerful. We all have a longing to believe in the possibility of perfection. Deep down, many people wish that there could be someone who is flawless, who will never let us down, who can carry our dreams effortlessly. And narcissists tap into that hope. They sell you the illusion of perfection, and for a while, if you buy into it because it feels good to believe that such a person exists, but slowly cracks begin to appear. The mask starts to slip. You begin to notice small inconsistencies. They tell a story today that doesn't match the story they told last week. They promise something with passion, but fail to follow through. Their eyes, once warm and attentive, now glance past you with impatience. And you realize painfully, that the perfection was never real. What you were drawn to was not the person, but the mask they wore. Now here's the empowering part. Once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself. You stop asking, why was I so foolish? Why did I fall for this? Instead, you see it clearly. You were responding to an illusion, a crafted performance, and who wouldn't, even the sharpest minds get caught up in a well-performed play. It's not a weakness in you, it's the power of the mask. The lesson, then, is not to close your heart, but to sharpen your vision. To look beyond surface charm, beyond rehearsed words, beyond the polished image. In daily life, this means slowing down before you give your trust away. When someone seems too good to be true, give it time. Watch how they act when things don't go their way. Notice how they treat people who cannot give them anything in return. Pay attention to the consistency between their words and their actions. Real character is not shown in grand performances, it's revealed in the small, unguarded moments. Here's the most liberating realization. If, when you learn to see through the mask of perfection, you reclaim your power, you stop chasing illusions and start valuing authenticity. If, instead of being dazzled by what looks perfect, you begin to appreciate what is real, even if it comes with flaws. Because real love, real friendship, if real leadership, it's never about being flawless. It's about being genuine, consistent, and human. So the next time you feel drawn in by someone who seems larger than life, pause. Remind yourself a mask can be beautiful, but it's still a mask. And no mask, if no matter how polished, can ever compare to the beauty of truth. The moment you choose authenticity over illusion, if you step into a freedom that no narcissist can ever control, every single human being carries within them a simple but powerful desire, the desire to be seen, if to be valued, to be appreciated. No matter how confident you may appear on the outside, there's a part of you that longs for someone to say, "You matter. You are enough. You are important." This need is not a weakness. It is part of being human. But here's where the narcissist steps in. If they know this about you, they sense it almost instantly, and they know exactly how to use it as their playground. In the beginning, if they shower you with attention, they compliment you in ways that feel deeply personal. If you've ever shared something vulnerable, if they latch onto it and praise you for it. If you've been overlooked by others, they step in as if to say, "I see what nobody else has noticed." This is what psychologists call love bombing, but to you, in that moment, it feels like recognition. If it feels like finally someone is holding up a mirror that reflects your worth, and isn't that what we all crave? To be seen not just for what we do, but for who we are. Let's take a simple everyday example. Imagine you've been working hard at your job day after day unnoticed. Then one day, if a new colleague joins and suddenly they start praising your dedication, your skills, your ideas, they go out of their way to highlight what others have ignored. If you feel a surge of joy, a sense of relief, finally, someone sees me. That's exactly how a narcissist plays. If they flood you with validation in the early stages because they know how powerful it is. But here's the truth, they are not doing it to lift you up. If they're doing it to pull you in, this is where the playground begins. Your need for validation becomes their game board, and every compliment, if every gesture of admiration is like a move in their strategy, they know the more they give you in the beginning, the more you'll crave it later. Just like a child who is given candy every day will long for more once it's taken away, you begin to depend on that flow of affirmation. And once you depend on it, they hold the power. Slowly, they start to withdraw the validation. At first, you brush it off. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they're stressed. But soon, the compliments turn into criticisms. The attention turns into neglect. The warm glow you once felt now feels cold. And yet, if your heart remembers the beginning, you hold on to the memory of how it felt when they made you feel seen, and you start working harder to earn it back. You start questioning yourself, did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Without realizing it, if you begin chasing the very thing they once gave so freely. Think about it like this. Imagine someone takes you to the top of a mountain with a helicopter. If you step out, breathe in the fresh air, and think, this is incredible. Then suddenly they take the helicopter away and leave you stranded. Now, if every step you take, every effort you make is just to get back to that peak you were once shown, you didn't climb there on your own, they lifted you up. And now you're exhausting yourself trying to recreate that feeling. This is how the narcissist operates. They raise you high with validation, then pull it away, leaving you desperate to get back to what once was. But here's the empowering shift. Once you recognize that your need for validation is being used against you, you can take back the power. The truth is, external validation feels good, but it should never define your worth. Because the moment you let someone else decide your value, you've given them control of your happiness. If the narcissist thrives on this dependence, they become the gatekeeper of your self-esteem. But you don't need a gatekeeper, you hold the keys. Think of a flower blooming in a field. Does the flower bloom because someone is watching? Does it need applause to open its petals? No. If it blooms because that is its nature, it doesn't ask for permission to be beautiful. It doesn't wait for validation to release its fragrance. It simply blooms regardless of who notices. That is the mindset you must embrace. Your worth does not come from the attention of others, it comes from within. If in daily life, this means beginning to notice when you are seeking approval. It means asking yourself, am I doing this because it feels true to me, or because I want someone else to validate me? It means practicing the art of self-recognition, celebrating your efforts, your growth, your resilience, even when no one else claps. Because when you give yourself the validation you crave, the narcissist loses their playground. If they can no longer control you with their crumbs of praise, because you've built a feast of self-worth within yourself. And here is the most inspiring part. When you stop outsourcing your value, you become magnetic in the most authentic way. People who know their worth radiate a quiet confidence. They don't need to boast, they don't need to beg, they don't need to chase. They simply live in the truth of who they are, and that truth is unshakable. So the next time someone showers you with excessive flattery, pause, enjoy it, yes, but don't depend on it. Remember that your worth is not a gift someone else can hand to you. It's something that was already yours from the beginning. The narcissist may try to make your need for validation their playground, but once you recognize the game, you step off the field. You stop playing. And in that moment, you win your freedom. One of the most powerful reasons people remain caught in the web of a narcissist is not because of the beginning charm alone, but because of the cycle they create. It is a cycle of hope and confusion, a dance of closeness and distance, of warmth and coldness, of being lifted up one moment and then dropped the next. This unpredictable rhythm keeps you hooked, because your heart clings to the highs while trying to make sense of the lows. And this is not just psychology, it's human nature. Think of it like playing a slot machine. You pull the lever not knowing what result you'll get. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. The wins are inconsistent, but they're powerful enough to keep you pulling the lever again and again. This is exactly how the narcissist keeps you trapped. They give you just enough good moments of praise, affection, attention, that you hold on to hope. You tell yourself, maybe it will go back to how it was before. Maybe if I try harder, if I'm more patient, if I change myself, I'll get that version of them again. This hope is what chains you, and the confusion is what makes you stay. In daily life, you may have noticed this cycle in small ways. For example, maybe your partner criticizes you harshly one day, making you feel unworthy. You feel crushed. But then the next day, they surprise you with affection, maybe even apology. That sudden switch makes you feel relief, even joy, and you think, see, they do care. Maybe I overreacted yesterday. That back and forth creates an emotional roller coaster. And as exhausting as it is, part of you starts to live for the highs because the lows feel unbearable. What makes this cycle so destructive is that it tricks your mind into believing you are the problem. You start analyzing yourself, doubting yourself, thinking of ways you can be better, all to bring back that version of them you once saw. But here's the truth. The cycle is not about you being enough or not enough, it's about control. The narcissist knows exactly when to withhold and when to give, when to criticize and when to praise, when to distance and when to draw close again. They keep you in a state of confusion so that you never feel stable enough to walk away. Let me share an image with you. Imagine you're standing in the desert, thirsty and desperate for water. A narcissist gives you a sip of water, just enough to keep you alive, but never enough to satisfy your thirst. You cling to them because you believe they are the only source of relief. You wait, you hope, you endure, because that one sip keeps you from giving up. But what you don't realize is the desert was created by them in the first place. You're thirsty because they withhold, not because you're unworthy of water. This is where the hope comes in. Your heart is wired for connection, for love, for stability. And so, when they show even a glimpse of kindness, your hope skyrockets. You convince yourself, this is the real them. This is who they are deep down. You ignore the cruelty, the neglect, the manipulation, because the good moments feel so strong. But what you must understand is that the good moments are not signs of true love. They are part of the cycle designed to keep you there. The confusion is what drains you most. You tell yourself stories to make sense of their behavior. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they had a bad childhood. Maybe if I love them more, they'll change. You explain away their cruelty while magnifying the rare moments of tenderness. But in reality, If this confusion is like fog, it blinds you from seeing the truth. Love is not supposed to feel like a guessing game. If love is not supposed to leave you walking on eggshells, wondering which version of a person you'll meet today. So, how do you break free from this cycle? If the first step is clarity, it's the courage to admit to yourself that the pattern is real, to stop clinging to the highs and acknowledge the lows for what they are, to see the roller coaster not as love, but as manipulation. When you recognize the cycle, you take away its power. Because the truth is, consistency is the foundation of genuine connection. Real love is steady. Real love doesn't make you question your worth one day and lift you up the next. Real love doesn't thrive on confusion. It thrives on trust. Think about a lighthouse standing on the shore, it doesn't flicker on and off depending on its mood. It doesn't shine brightly one day and disappear the next. It shines steadily, consistently, guiding ships safely through storms. That is what true love, if true friendship, true connection looks like. Anything less is not stability, it's chaos, and you deserve more than chaos. Here's the empowering message. If the moment you step off the ride, the roller coaster stops. You no longer have to chase the highs or endure the lows. You no longer have to live in hope and confusion. You reclaim your energy, your peace, your clarity. You begin to see that what you were holding on to was not love, but a cycle. And cycles can be broken. So the next time you feel yourself clinging to the memory of a good moment, remind yourself, one sip of water in the desert doesn't mean the desert is your home. You are not meant to survive on scraps of affection. You are meant to thrive on consistency, honesty, and care. And when you believe that deeply, no narcissist can ever keep you chained in their cycle again.